All right. Hi, Steve. Thanks for joining today. I know we've already chatted for a second. It's already a nice, lovely day here. Thank you everyone for joining who's watching now or watching soon. But Steve is the leader of Acumen in the Front Range area, and I will let you, Steve Van Diest, tell us more about Acumen because it's an amazing organization and you're doing amazing work. Um, take it from here.
Thank you. Yeah, I got about 3 years ago, I was introduced to Acumen a little over 3 years ago, but my journey started a long time ago. Southern California kid, went and got a nerd degree. I'm a math and computer science degree, but I was joking with a buddy down the street. And I go, hey, what'd you do this weekend? He goes, I was helping 40th classroom. And I go, you're that old? And he goes, Steve, you probably just did your 35th. I'm like, oh my goodness. So, yes, it's been a long time since I graduated from high school and college. My wife and I are about to celebrate. We're a few days short of 31 years.
Awesome.
Um,
Congrats.
I have a great story. People have to ask me personally where I met my wife in Brazil. And I always tell them, like, oh, I met her in the jungles in the Amazon, and she was running around naked. And I taught her English and put clothes on her. Only one part of the story is true. I did meet her in Brazil, and then we both finished our degrees. She was from Texas, and I stole her from her twin sister and her family and moved her to Southern California. We were both teachers for a year, and then we went into nonprofit work. We were former pastors for a while, then we did nonprofit work and worked at CU Boulder mostly. We bounced around the world 3 times, one year in Chile without kids. Then we moved with a 4 month old to Spain, southern Spain. It was a really special year. Lived on the Mediterranean, overlooking Africa. It was a fabulous year in our upper 20s. And then with 3 babies, I guess they were 7, 5, and 2, we moved to Mexico City to start a nonprofit to figure out how to deal and help bring about change, city transformation to the poor, to everybody in Mexico City, to 28 million people. That was a turning point in our lives and really tough. We found out we're pregnant with our fourth. Her mom was pretty sick. And all of our junk, excuse me, all of our junk came out in Mexico City. So we ejected to get healthy. Our marriage was a mess. We were a mess. We were in our upper 30s. You're out changing the world, but you realize I got to get healthy.
Hmm.
I'm running alone. We had community, but when you're so impressed with yourselves and you're out doing great things and you've done this before, you're like, we can do this. And it was just really hard. So we landed in the mega city of Greeley, Colorado, and we went from 28 million to about 110,000 people. Um, but it was a really hard. We had our birth of our fourth. I lost my mother-in-law, my wife's mom, but we went through lots of counseling and started to do some deep soul work and care and emotional work and relational work. And from that, we left the kind of full-time nonprofit vocational work, helping change and help people in cities. To I backed my way into it's an easy transition, nonprofit work to starting mattress stores. So two
Obviously.
friends, yeah, it's an easy one. So we backed in and had a fun and started mattress stores about 18 years ago and launched 4 stores here in the metro along with some friends and helped our friend who owned the franchise launch another 13 stores around the country. And that's where I kind of cut my teeth in the business world and failed a ton, did great things, learned a ton. Uh, because business, and you work with a lot of business owners and helping
Yep.
them grow and increase revenue. Uh, Business with partners is like a marriage as well. So not
Mhm.
only was I working personally and working with my wife in our marriage, then I added this new human, my best friend, and I thought it would be great. But we had a lot to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not always easy. It's sometimes much harder to have a
Mhm.
partnership than a marriage. So, yeah, totally. I get it. Very
But
cool.
yeah, so that turned into 14 years of mattress retail, and it was a pretty unique situation. We were a little bit more high end, and I took some of my nonprofit world and said, how do we impact the city? And how
Mhm.
do we help people? And how do we build community in the weirdest place, a mattress store? And people aren't coming in to come and hang out, but if you can do it right and you can listen
Mhm.
and you're not the used car salesman mattress store style, the bottom dwellers. We began to build community, and we're passionate about nonprofits in town. So we let our customers choose where a portion of their purchase would go to as the nonprofits in town. And so we really networked well to a lot of the great refugee center in town. And we did some pet ones. It was just a really cool experience. Yet I needed someone like you probably back in the day. We did grow quickly. We were
Mhm.
early. We started in a recession in '08, right after the economy collapse and
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
the lending crisis. We started with $5,000 loan from U.S. Bank. We needed about 150, and
Yes.
it's and they're like, no, we can't give you any more. You guys, neither of you have any experience, and so sold a home and bootstrapped it off a equity.
Mhm.
Uh, and we grew quick because we were one of the first ones in the mattress industry in town to start doing digital marketing, paid click
Yeah.
SEO.
Mhm.
And instead of dropping 20 or $30,000 and competing with American Furniture, a big furniture store and mattress store here in Colorado,
Yep.
in the newspaper, we said, let's go something different. And it really set us apart. It was a lot of fun. And so going from zero to about 3 million in about 2 or 3 years.
Love it.
But um, I say cash flow covers a multitude of sins. Uh,
Mhm. Yep.
that does, but revenue doesn't always cover a multitude of sins. And so we've just missed people in our lives helping us. Here are a couple former nonprofit dudes that got into the mattress industry. We're getting written about in industry magazines and other magazines and articles and blogs. Yet we just didn't know what we didn't know. And we were asking each other, but we'd look across the room and we were giving our best advice. And so
Yep.
I missed some pieces. Yet, dumb enough, we started another company. I launched a manufacturing company. So we made pillows and sheets and comforters and sold to ourselves. And then we knew what other retailers were frustrated with some of the mega import companies or other US companies. And we just started building a company around the upside down principles of let's just not be any of them. And that'll win all these mom and pops across the United States, and had a ton of fun. We flipped it into an e-com business. So we had two brands running side by side. And then I knew we were ending. So we sold some of our mattress stores. And then I exited the manufacturing business all around the year 2020 and 2021.
Yep.
And really surrendering, I was just turning 50 and really surrendering the idea of going, what am I going to do when I grow up? And had some runway. And a gentleman just out of Kansas City that lived in Evergreen goes, hey, I've got this thing that we do here in the front range. I had no idea, but we just sat and talked and liked each other. And for me, learning through a lot of the heartache of business, you can be really good at business and the science behind it. But the parts
Mhm.
that we often struggle with were the relational parts, and that's the parts I struggled with when cash flow was tight or payroll was tight or staff issues. Relationships are the core of any industry.
Yeah. Mhm.
And yes, obviously retail, we did really good with our customers, but the parts that I was struggling with were just how do we manage our staff of 20, 30. We used to hire felons, we had to hire refugees. And so not only were we working with just other humans that were just as messed up as me, we were working with people from different cultures and that also came from different backgrounds that had some trauma built into them. So a lot of failures, a lot of success. It was
A
grad
lot of
school
learning.
101,
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah.
And I do believe that God uses our greatest failures to be our greatest give back. And
Mhm.
so at 50 years old, this gentleman said, hey, I got this thing. You'd be really good at it. And I go, what is it? And he goes, I got to go. And he jumped in his car and left. And I go, that's the weirdest prospecting recruitment. And I come home and I tell my wife, I go, I think I was interviewed for this thing, but I wasn't. We were just talking about LinkedIn just a little bit ago. I wasn't really playing the LinkedIn game. I was like, I'm a mattress retailer. And so then I went to LinkedIn. I'm like, hey, what does he do? I go to his website and I was intrigued, but still didn't have a concept for it because it's something that I didn't partake as a business owner. But as I
Mhm.
learned, we went on our second date and started to learn more about this thing called Acumen, which now I
Mhm.
run in Colorado. And he rolled it out and he goes, did you ever feel lonely? as a business owner? I go, yeah, but my best friend was working with me and we were both lonely
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because oftentimes a lot of our problems were each other. And so who do I get a process with? And my wife didn't want to hear about all that junk. And so it's just a place where there was a gap there. And then did you ever feel like you didn't know what to do in certain situations? Like, did I ever feel like that? That was a weekly situation.
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
no one to process. And so I grew up in a faith community and I was involved in a faith community, but it wasn't like I was going to go to a pastor or a buddy in church that didn't have a business and go, hey, can you tell me about P&Ls and balance sheets and hiring and firing and culture and marketing? It's like, you didn't know.
Yep.
And so now in hindsight, when the Acumen Vision, it's a peer advisory community for business owners and CEOs. And so we take these crazy, wild barnyard cat people that are running solo, doing great things, maybe making a ton of money, and we
Mm-hmm.
put them in a room together for 4 or 5 hours to help solve each other's issues. But
Mm-hmm.
it also solves that lonely piece. So you get these
That's
completely
huge.
different industries. It is. You get these completely different industries in the same room, and at first it's we learn people join because they need help. It's about me. And then you start realizing, wait, we're all learning this together. It's about we. And
Mm-hmm.
then some of the magic starts happening is when someone across the table goes, you know what? This isn't about me. This is about you. And they start poking a little bit and they start holding accountable and
Uh-huh.
they start getting to know this person. There's trust that's built and they start learning this other person's business and their issues and their weaknesses and they start poking. But then I'm beginning to see some of these teams that I coach now, these Acumen teams, they're changing and it's about us. It's about us helping each other in our hopes and dreams. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, I was missing that. I had a business partner and we had very similar hopes and dreams. We just didn't have 10 to 12 other men and women that ran companies in our world. And so that's what we launched 3 years ago. Acumen is about 3.5 years old on the Front Range. It's about 14 years old in Kansas City. We have about 26 business owners and CEOs involved here in the Front Range. We
Mm-hmm.
just signed our coaches are called Growth Catalyst. Dennis just joined us about 2 weeks ago. So Dennis is in
Yeah.
the process of doing the same thing, launching business owners, putting them in a room together, messing them up. One of my life's vision is to disrupt people to a greater sense of wholeness.
Oh, I love that.
And so, Nicole, as you get into companies, I'm assuming you don't just get in there and you're a yes man.
Gosh, would anything happen if I did that? You know?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you get in there and you start going, hey, have you thought about this? Have you done this? And
Mm-hmm.
you create some disruption.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a scary place to be as a business owner when someone starts
It is.
meddling.
Mm-hmm.
But I love it's doubling revenue of 8 and 9 figure businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Doubling a revenue is painful.
It is. There's a lot to it. Yeah, we have to look at everything. It's not just, hey, can we get some more leads? You know, we have to
Hmm.
make sure it's all set up right, and that's where having the right partners in place to make sure that you're not dropping the balls and, having someone there that has been through it and is going through it right now is so beneficial.
Yeah. So I wish, so people go, what do you do? I go, I actually serve and coach and create communities around my former self, things that would have helped my former self.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because my former self needed acumen tremendously. Um, Man, my kids who are not afraid of entrepreneurship now, I've got two married kids, two married kids in their 20s.
Hmm.
One is considering, is always considering business opportunity. Other than a CPA, and he's just in it. But they all look forward, and I'm grateful that even though all the pain and suffering as a business owner, highs and lows, they don't look at it and going, "No, I'm just going to work at Target forever." And nothing's wrong with working at Target forever, but they're
Right.
actually intrigued.
Hmm.
And my daughter's 19. She's in the business school down in Phoenix at Grand Canyon University.
Oh,
I
good.
think she's got the entrepreneur gene the most.
Yeah.
She's sharp. She sees things differently. She's a great worker. She's high character. She's a good communicator. And then my youngest is 17. So 2 days ago, he experienced his last first day of school. which is cool. And it makes me crazy that I'm like, okay, I'm 53, I'm getting pretty old. But my wife and I now post marriage recovery. That's another thing we do. Is yes, I help business owners. I help my former self get in community, grow their businesses, help them sharpen, challenge, and inspire them. And they do that with each other. But we also do a lot of marriage coaching because we were so stinky at it, and it is another very, very hard thing. So we do a lot of that stuff on the side as well.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
You're definitely giving back. You're in the right place to really help businesses. But what sets Acumen apart from the other organizations out there that are trying to help businesses?
it's
What's
a
your
great
difference?
question.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of consultancies, and we really try to hold the coaching. People say, I had a prospect today ask me, well, do you do all the teaching? Are you writing all the content? I said, no, I'm a coach. He goes, yeah, but don't you do that? I go, no. I go, I really believe in the room. The wisdom is not from Steve.
No.
I had two industries. I had retail, kind of some franchise experience, and some manufacturing, B2B and e-com. But I have no knowledge of construction. I have no knowledge of really marketing world. I have no knowledge on running a legal practice. Yet the power is what we do that's pretty unique is we put these people in the same room, and we are a faith organization. So we have a faith friendly organization, but people at any level of where they kind of believe can enter this room, and it's a safe room. So
Hmm.
as I'm sitting across a room, if Fred and Susie are giving me advice, I have a general feeling they're giving me from the same values. And there are a
Hmm.
lot of amazing peer organizations out there. But one of the things that's special is when you start going from that value set, there's a trust level that starts.
Yeah.
And so I could join one of my competitors. I could join them, and I could get some good advice. But do I really share the same value set as that person? And
Hmm.
so, do I want to listen? And do I want to believe? Do I think they have what's best for me and my marriage? Because then oftentimes I've had people leave other communities and saying, it was really good. I got some good business knowledge, but the guy I was getting it from has been divorced 3 times. His kids
Hmm.
don't like him. He's super wealthy, and he's kind of a jerk in the community.
Yeah.
And so, what sets us apart? I'm bringing people that share your values together. And the smartest person is not me, the coach. It's actually the room. And that's
Yeah.
different. That's different. And so, how are we different than consultants? I think consultants do a wonderful job. There's a beginning, middle, and end, and they're accomplishing a specific task. If Nicole triples your revenue, they actually may want to continue with you forever because you've done it.
Yeah.
They may want to do it. But oftentimes, if I've accomplished my
Hmm.
task, when I hire a fractional
Hmm.
marketing consultant, and they've helped me fix my strategies and my systems, or I hire an EOS coach and they fix my communication rhythms, my leadership and accountability rhythm. Once I've done that, do I need you much longer? And so we're trying to build a lifelong community of business owners that makes it really difficult to leave because it's not just about Steve.
Yeah.
I'm not for everybody, and I'm okay with that now in my 50s. I realized, oh yeah, I can piss off people, but and I'm my skin's thick. But if I can build a community, um, it's sticky and it's
Hmm.
transforming.
Yeah. And there is something to be said for getting outside of your industry.
Hmm.
I work with a lot of people that I'm a roofer. I only work with consultants that work with roofers. And it's like, yeah, okay, you get stuck in the mud and everyone's stuck in the mud. Let's get ideas and feeling and advice from outside of us because that will help more than something another roofer can tell you to do.
You're exactly right. So oftentimes the industries in the room all love, there's a couple different industries they want in the room. They want
Hmm.
legal. They love
Always.
having a law firm because what does a law firm do? It's kind of like free counsel. So when you have a contract issue with a business partner or a vendor,
Hmm.
the lawyer has personal experience. He's probably seen 1,000 times the reps. We
Hmm.
love people that run banks, presidents of banks, CEO of
Hmm.
banks, because what are the reps that they're seeing? They're seeing P&Ls and balance sheets and commercial lending and growth. They love marketing firms. They love companies like yours as well
Yeah.
to sit in the room because
Hmm.
there's just marketing firms. Because one, you have to be, business owners are frustrated with marketing.
Always. Always. Every client I've ever talked to, we start with, or not always we start with, but I can always ask, hey, have you had a bad experience with marketing? And they could tell me a lot. So, and you can tell pretty easily if that's an issue that
Yeah.
we're going to have.
So I love a young gentleman just joined our team about 4 months ago, and he's part
Mhm.
of another online community. One of the differentiating factors as well, there's in this world of online, what we're doing right now, and we can wear nice shirts and wear shorts and flip flops, and hint hint, and so
Yeah.
then you can do that, and there's peer world. But I still think the human soul is built around relationships. I
Mhm.
believe business grows at the speed of relationships, and we do ours all live. All of my coaching one-on-one with clients is live, either in their office, in a bar, in a cigar lounge, a coffee shop, wherever they feel comfortable that they can be open and honest and share their struggles with me. And I'm just asking questions because I also believe on the one-on-one coaching aspect, if I'm coaching you, Nicole, in your marketing world, your revenue growth world, and you ask me a question and I give you advice back on a marketing strategy,
Mhm.
it might be the worst advice ever. I've never run a marketing company.
Yeah.
I know what SEO is. I hate it. I know it's
Mhm.
important. I don't know how to do it. Why would I give you advice? So I picture it like a beach ball. There's about 8 to 10 panels on the beach ball of different colors. When you're holding your beach ball and you're telling me your story about your issue, I don't see the other 7 to 8 panels in the beach ball. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
So a gentleman yesterday asked me, "Hey, what would you do with my GM in this conversation we're going to have about annual review?" And I just said, "Well, tell me more about the situation. What are you afraid of? Have you had a conversation before with this employee?" And I even got after our one-on-one coaching. Hey, but what if this person says this? What would you do? I said, well, go back to what we talked about. What are you afraid of? What do you want to talk? And so I have an opinion, but I'm really trying to hold that posture and saying I'm a coach. Now every once in a while, like just give me your opinion. I just want advice, and that's okay too.
Yeah. I had a
Yeah.
coach that would never tell me ad his advice, and I'd just be like, "Just tell me what to do here," and he just wouldn't. He wanted me to come up with the idea, and I know marketing. I don't know everything.
Uh huh. And it's like going to a marriage therapist. Just tell me how you're doing, and then after an hour, you're looking at each other, going, "Do we do anything there?" I do want some direction. I want some nudging.
Yeah.
And all of our growth catalyst coaches have had to sit in the seat of business ownership
Mhm.
because, as you and
I
I
love it.
know, running a business is painful. So I love former teachers and educators and professors and research scientists and military gurus and leadership gurus. I love all them. But for them to sit in a room with a bunch of fellow business owners who've never ran a business and had to raise $1 million to start or bootstrap it or hire and fire, that's a different thing.
Yes.
And so we really, our growth model for Acumen and the vision to get us to the ends of the earth in the Front Range is not just grab anybody. It's the right person. Do they share our values? One, my greatest filter is typically my wife. So early on the dating,
Fantastic.
yeah. So early on the process, when Dennis and I met 3 or 4 months ago, I said, "Dennis, are you interested?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm interested." I said, "Okay." First thing I do is we go out to dinner with my wife. I'm treating because my wife knows people. So do
Mhm.
I, but I want other eyeballs. Again, I'm not the smartest person in the room, so I'm trusting a wife of 31 years that's seen my crap, has seen me at my worst, and has worked through all that. And I really appreciate her advice. And then it's all also comes down to, as I'm growing this, it's
Mhm.
not just about growth. I want to be with people I choose to be with. So we don't
Exactly.
say yes to everybody. In our community, as coaches, we don't say yes to everybody, and we're also not going to say yes to everybody that wants to be in our community. I
Mhm.
really want, yeah, the demographics. I want a certain $3 million business size and 10 plus. That's the demographics. But oftentimes, and I'm stealing this from, I believe, Patrick Lencioni. I want a humble, hungry, and smart person. And I really look across the table at the person and said, okay, you may be really intellectually smart, but is your EQ, your emotional, relational smartness good? Because I'm going to put you in a room with other people that are pretty smart too. And if you don't know how to build community and be a normal human and deal with differences, this isn't the place for you.
Yeah, if you can't human. We
You
don't
just
want
can't hear. Yeah. So shockingly enough, you can be really successful at business and be a bad human.
oh, I don't know how shocking that is for anyone here.
Yeah, just watch watch our world. And so
Mhm.
that's one of my passions is I love working with great people, and you
Yeah.
put great people together,
Hmm.
man, you can change the world.
Hmm. Yeah. People who are doing it. Yeah, we all want to make money. We all want to take care of our
Hmm.
families, grow something that can be, a legacy or be bigger than us. But why are we doing it and what's the point of it? We want it to be bigger and we want to take care of people.
Yeah.
We want to leave a good legacy of how we're supporting the community. At least those are the people I want to work with too. So
Same here, and
definitely.
that's why I can call you a friend, and I can go to networking meetings and go, oh, there's Nicole. She's somebody I can trust. She's somebody I'd want to be around.
Mhm.
Yeah, I host happy hours and networking things, and sometimes someone told me, he's like, I saw somebody there that was pretty sketchy. I'm like, I'm not controlling the world. Again, it runs in the speed of relationship, but in my world of acumen, yeah, I
Mhm.
want to make sure it's the right people, and
Mhm.
that's a valuable deal. And it's relationships, it's fun. I've got a group that just started about 4 months ago, and one of the young guy I was talking about, he was part of another online community for
Mhm.
about a year, and he goes, I don't know if I want another one. And essentially, he's smarter than me, he'll be richer than me, he's much more talented than me, he's got 100 times more energy than me. My prospecting strategy with him was, if you don't join, you're going to be a jerk. I've never done that strategy, and but I felt we had a good relationship, and he joined the first council. And so one of the things we do that's pretty special as well is we're going to do full P&L, full balance sheets, full culture, employee, what's going on, open up the kimono, show it all, be dirty. And he did that the first month. He was bold enough because again, I was like, "You're the smartest. You're the most talented. You're amazing. A fun person to be around." And he did all that. And interesting enough, I will also ask a really odd, dark question after someone presents their business. And I asked the rest of the room, the other 10, 12, 13 business owners, and said, how would you destroy this person's life?
Ooh.
Because typically our friends in our community at the bar, if we're a business owner, think we're pretty special. We might have a little
Mhm.
bit more resources than they. We have a few more vacations. Maybe some of us have extra houses. So they kind of worship and they put us on a pedestal. But if you can be in a room with people that are for you, and someone basically just said, I'm not concerned about any of your business. I'm concerned your identity is so wrapped up in your success that that'll be the end of you.
Mhm.
And that identity poking, that happened in the first time we ever got together. And he even said, he goes, not to blow smoke up Steve's butt, he goes, but I've been part of other peer groups. This is amazing. No one's ever done that to me.
Yeah. They talk about putting people in the hot seat. That is a hot seat right there.
Yeah. And so I've
Yeah.
had gentlemen say, I love your business. Nothing's wrong with your business. But if I were to ruin your life, I would make you a worse father. I'd spend more time in your office like you do and less time with your kids. And who's going to tell you that other than your wife?
Yeah. And you know, we love our wives, right? I have a husband,
Yeah.
but they don't, they don't know. They don't, like, they know, but it's hard to really say, okay, they see everything, they're not
Yeah.
going to, we're not going to listen to some things if they say it, whereas we might listen to a peer. And we'd like to say we listen, but when a peer says something, it means a little bit more when we know that they know.
Oh my goodness. I'm the greatest coach in the world with others. I am the worst coach in the world with my spouse. So bad. And so when we poke each other, it's like, that's the dumbest idea. And I could literally have a client or a colleague, or I'm also part of a community. I threw myself into another community of another organization because I wanted
Mhm.
to grow me. Because I'm like, I'm no longer running solo. I did
Yes.
that. And if I'm going to help others not run solo, I had to do it myself. And so they can tell me stuff, yet sometimes the people closest to us,
Uh-huh.
it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Somehow
it's
you're
a ton of
suddenly
fun.
judged. Yeah, you're suddenly judged so much more for something that I don't know why it feels that way, but it's hard. It was.
Yeah, and then from someone told me this. It's in our peer world. There's a lot of peer different groups around the Front Range, around the United States, online, live. But someone told me there's only about 10% of business owners of all different levels in peer groups, and that
Mhm.
breaks my heart. That means there's 90% of the businesses across North America that the men and women running those companies are
Mhm.
alone, and
Yes.
that's terrifying.
Yes. I work with a lot of people that for the longest time felt like they had to do it all alone. And, especially like you start up the business and you see some success. So you feel like the magic sauce, but then you start filling loans, things start happening, employee issues, marketing issues, sales issues, you're trying to grow and you're struggling. And it's scary. It's so scary and it's so
Yeah.
lonely. And, I can't tell you how many times I become like a counselor to people where
Hmm.
that's not what we're doing at all, but just because they feel like they need someone. So that's why I love what you're doing because you're out there trying to bring people to their peers so that they can
Yeah.
feel like they have people to lean on when they are struggling. And most business owners struggle at times. I would
Yeah.
say everyone
Yeah.
struggles at least at some point.
I always tell people, I go, you need a peer team. You
Mm-hmm.
need consultants like Nicole and consultants that help you operate different pieces of your business. If you can't
Mm-hmm.
afford them all the way in, then hire that fractional consultant. Get a peer
Mm-hmm.
team because you're going to learn. Oh, this guy actually has this consultant, and this one has this consultant, and so they start helping each other. Going, there's some success breeding here, and then I think
Mm-hmm.
you need. It's a growing. I think business owners also need therapists.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the one they don't think about, but just get them a
Mhm.
therapist.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I know I know a few therapists that's who they work with is
uh huh,
successful business owners because my gosh, there is so much to it and like not many people really understand what you're going through and you're going through a lot. So,
yeah, it's
yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yeah. So Steve, how if people want to check out Acumen or get involved with what you're doing, how can they reach out? What do you want them to do?
Yeah, the people. It's a great question. Who are these people? Well, it doesn't matter if you're a solopreneur, $500,000 to
Mhm.
$3 million. We have a team for you. If you're an emerging leader, this is one that's starting in the Front Range sometime this fall. If you are not the boss, but you also report to somebody, but you have people reporting to you, that's a really hard spot as well.
Yeah.
So we have an emerging leaders cohort starting up in the fall. There's a place for you. If you're a key exec, you're not the boss, you're not that emerging leaders, but you're sitting on that C-suite. We are looking for key exec teams to launch. But then, as also, if you're some of those larger companies, we have teams for you. So that's the who. How do you find us? AcumenImpact.com. AcumenImpact.com. Go to resources, watch our podcast, look for our events. If you're in the Front Range, come to our happy hours about 8 times a year. Meet other business owners, other folks like Nicole, some power
Mhm.
partners of mine. So visit the website, reach out to me. The other person that is a who is, gosh, I was like Steve. I was 50 years old, 53 years old. I sold my business. I exited. I'm not done. What do I want to do? Well,
Yes.
guess what? There's a home and acumen for you as a former business owner to become a growth catalyst. And so that's really our growth model right now is bringing
Mhm.
on seasoned former business owners that have a passion to help others in our communities. You'd be a great fit for us.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you, Steve, for joining today and sharing your story. It's an amazing story and a lot of fun just listening to it and very engaging. So, thanks for
Thank you.
swinging by. And thank you, everyone who stopped by to listen or who will be listening again later. So, Steve, again, thank you. And I hope you guys reach out to Steve. Very great organization.
Thank you.